こんばんは。いらっしゃいませ。Welcome to my totally not a podcast, Paprika Girls Midnight Diner. When I am recording this, it is the 27th of July, which puts us in the season of Taisho, the great heat, and micro season of Tsuchi Uro Temushi Atsushi. That's an interesting name because it can be loosely translated as very hot, humid hot, and steamy hot. We are being steamed like shrimp in my kitchen. And thus, here we are very red. I hope everyone is applying sunscreen and using parasols and manisols and generally avoiding skin cancer to the best of your ability. Don't forget to drink your liquids. Speaking of liquids, here I am with a bottle of sake, Kagatobi, just brought back from Ishikawa Prefecture. I was just there yesterday, so this one is fresh from Fukumitsuya Shuzo. I'm pairing it with a nice little set of scallops, which I am cooking on my mini shichirin grill right on a shell in butter, and enjoying it here on my engawa, the long veranda that opens into the garden. A grandma tip is to add a little sake to the butter in the scallop shell while cooking, making the flavor ever richer. It's not raining today, thank goodness. So you can hear the night insects, can't you? Sweet sounds of a cooler summer evening. Today, I attended a darling home party in Kunitachi. One of my composers had a grand party of some 40 people. There, I performed the kappore, which is a dance that originated in Osaka but was popularized in Edo. You can still see it played in Asakusa during festivals. Here, let me play a little piece of it. It's all about crowd involvement. Notice how there were lines like yoi tosai, yoi, yoi. Those are called hayashi kotoba. They're like a call to sing along at certain points in traditional folk song. In English, I might offer the jingle, shave and a haircut, to which most who hear it would reply, 2 bits. If you don't know that one, it means you're too young, which is all right, because most youngsters will not be familiar with Hayashi Kotoba either. Anyhow, after dancing and drinking and eating too much, we all went to the roof and enjoyed the fireworks show while eating watermelon. Now, isn't that a grand summer thought? There are so many ways to enjoy the summer here. fireworks, festivals, fans, foods. Ooh, alliteration it is. Yukata are prevalent since most youngsters still know how to wear a yukata, or their mothers do. Ice cream, pickles, sunshades, wind chimes, cool water running over your feet on a hot, sweaty day. Such happy things. Memories of sunshine. Anywho, I am happily tipsy enough from the fireworks show to record this silly bob, but let me tell you about the past 2 days. So, Ishikawa. I visited, first of all, a number of sake breweries in Ishikawa, namely around Kanazawa. The purpose of my visit was a purely personal interest, but I met up with a couple members of my staff, which were out west because of another shoot. We then took a car ride a couple hours north to Noto. If you will remember, Noto Peninsula was hit by a large earthquake in January. For various political reasons, however, the rebuilding of the towns there have not moved an inch. Not a centimeter. The reason is a very peculiar state of limbo. For one, not all the houses that fell were inhabited. That makes for the Akia problem. Who takes responsibility for the cleanup of uninhabited and uninsured houses? Sometimes the ownership is not even precisely known, especially for the older houses. And secondly, there is a plan to raze entire sections of the destroyed town and rebuild it from scratch. But there is an argument over design and architects. And more importantly, since this is private property, not everyone can agree, not only on a standard design, but those whose houses were not destroyed don't necessarily want their homes rebuilt. Well, since it has taken more than a half a year to get this far, and the area destroyed is actually rather small, residents have, for the most part, moved out and moved on to other areas in Ishikawa. So the pressure to get it done is also somewhat lackluster. Still, all 18 of the breweries in that area have been destroyed. In addition, it is very jarring to ride through that area. I was able to access it through staff permits. Hooray for being in television. Well, I saw that the state of the downed buildings is exactly the same as it was in January. It really adds a layer of reality to the whole issue. Living in an earthquake-prone country, politics, bureaucracy, and taxes, and the Japanese ability to move up and move on despite kaji and kenka, or fires and fights, as they would say in Edo slang. I could go on about that, but I'm beginning to sound like that annoying person at the bar telling the room about his politics, so I shall stop here and only regale the rest to anyone who has a drink with me. On that note, I did in fact run into Ishikawa's Summit to see. That is, I knew I would be out in Ishikawa, and how could one not have a beer with the famous Mr. Fowler? We visited a little bistro first, talked about all sorts of life in Japan topics, family things, and the fascinating elements of Ishikawa. And then we went to another craft beer specialty shop and had an even deeper conversation about philosophy, politics, and the passage of time. I even brought my happy little Tascam recording device. But after having returned back to Tokyo, I cannot for the life of me find the recording file. My Tascam is full of previous rambles, shamisen music, and even a snippet from my dorama set from a year ago, but none of the conversation with Summit to see. It is difficult to put into words my disappointment. I suppose I will just have to go back to Ishikawa. Would you mind having another beer with me, Mr. Summer-to-Sea? This time we can invite more locals and make it another pleasant evening of sake and philosophy. I've thought I would love to meet Paprika, who is also out there, and possibly the bean pod, because I am worried about his chicken. No, the pecky one. Have you ever written a full essay on your computer only to have the power go out? Or done a significant portion of editing only to lose the file? You know, that depression that comes from looking forward to continuing the work that you're in a groove on and so hyped to do, only to realize that it has all been lost. That is how I feel about the lost recording right about now. So, that's that about that. Change of topic. Now, please allow Tipsy Paprika to muse on a topic which has been on my mind recently. It has been brought to mind because I was just scrolling through X and saw JJ with her most adorable cats. And, of course, sustainability popped into my head. Plastic. I had that sound effects on my iPhone ready to play, I did. Do you know what movie it's from? Anyway, yes, plastic. It is all over the news now. The big fashionable thing is environment and sustainability and all of that, so it's no news to you, dear listener. But first, let me give you a little background. Our family is of a reasonably ecologically minded level. We do lots of the personal farming on our own little Tokyo lot. We do the compost thing. We raise earthworms and bee flowers and all of that without pesticides. We buy and trade from farmers in our area since we are on the edge of southwest Nerimaku, a farming area in Tokyo. In addition, my husband is an active participant in the planning and development of countryside farming communities, modern all-natural villages outside of Tokyo. We're building a house in the countryside which is completely off-grid and uses natural geothermal cycling for heating and cooling. It's a big project that I will not get into now. But I did want to mention all that because I'm about to say something horrific. At least to the ears of some people. Plastic is not the enemy. Here it comes, the tidal wave of ats. But hear me out. And remember that I record these things unrehearsed and quite hammered. Plastic has an interesting history. It was discovered by fluke, put into widespread use as celluloid back in the Victorian era. But why did it take over the market so? Well, that rise is tightly linked to the economic independence of the common people as the middle class was created. The bare necessities of respectable life were now attainable for everyone, so long as they were made by plastic. You see, until then, the items of the home were all made of natural fibers: wood, paper, fabric, leather, bone, ivory, that is, metal, and what else? The point is, it was the consumption of earth. How many species of animals and plants were driven close to extinction in order to sustain society until then? The materials were costly, too, so not everyone could even afford them. So, along came plastic, And suddenly the good life became affordable. For example, one of the most significant symbols of the middle class rise was the buying of clocks, specifically the mantel clock. This used to be a major investment in a home, with guests checking their pocket watches against the clock on top of the mantelpiece. In my home in Chicago, which is a Victorian era estate, which did escape the Great Fire, in fact has an adamantine mantel clock on the fireplace. Adamantine is one of the early forms of plastic. So, what turned plastic into this modern demon? Well, it isn't the material. It is the overconsumption of it. And here it is. We are too reliant on junk. We buy things we don't really need, often because they are cute or inexpensive. We already have a nice set of cups, but we need one right now because it's only 100 yen and it has a cat on it. And there we have another bit of plastic that goes with nothing in the house, gets beat up right away, and is discarded in a few months. It is this cycle of needless spending and consumption that is our enemy. As you grow older, you're going to learn to buy things for life. Not because it is here and now and cheap, but because it is now time to stock your house with one particular set of crockery that you will use for 20 years. With that in mind, you will likely put away the plastic, may go to an antique shop and find a set of dishes from the Meiji period that go with your kitchen, and thus create no waste nor add any microplastics to your environment. I would love to talk more about it, and yet I realize that would be a one-sided lecture and be very boring indeed without someone to debate about it. So I end that here. That said, please allow me to suggest 3 ecologically minded things to do this year. Number 1, go out and pick up a bag of trash. If you're going to the beach, bring a bag with you. I like to use the big woven gardening ones. And fill it up before going home. Or if you're going camping or to the mountains, that's a great place too. Even your own neighborhood is fine. I know that some of you already do that, but pick up another one for me. And number 2, find and use the local reform tailor. Instead of buying yet another half-dozen pret-a-porter shirts for the next season, go into your closet and pull out that shirt you don't wear anymore and get it restitched to your liking. If you have nothing like that, then visit a second-hand shop to find something. The point is not to encourage mass production and mass consumption, but apply mottai-nai mentality to your wardrobe. And finally, number 3, choose local. When you need another box of miso, a bag of potatoes, or even a kettle, search first and foremost for a producer nearest to you. Google will do the trick, although I prefer DuckDuckGo or Brave, because at least you get relevant results and not ad blogs. It may be a few extra yen to buy local, but that goes directly to the producer, not to the shipping, handling, and storage. So don't buy quantity, buy quality, and invest the difference into the local economy. So many of us are used to instant gratification. We want it, we purchase it far too quickly. Most of the time, we don't even really need it. Okay, I need to end this talk now. Husband will be coming home soon, and I would like to run him a nice bath in the tub. Have you ever been in a Japanese bathroom? Not a lavatory, but a bath. A proper Japanese tub is large and deep. You may know this already, but you shower and scrub off first outside the tub. Then, when you are squeaky clean, you soak in the tub and forget all your troubles. It's like having an onsen at home. The Jikka, that's my husband's parents' house out on Mount Fuji. The Jikka has a tub big enough for 3 people made of hinoki wood. Why so big? Because families, that's why. When my husband was a little bitty naughty kid, the whole family would gather for various holidays, and he and his cousins would all get in the bath and splash one another until an adult came by and told them to behave, which they did for about 15 seconds until the footsteps went away and they could be naughty and splash again. Good times. Anyhow, bath time it is. Have a lovely summer. Oyasumi.